Hello YouTube, this is Airland here with another Wargame Airland battle commentary. Today we're going to be tackling the next Scandinavian country, Sweden. Yeah, so this is another multiplayer map. I don't think I've shown you footage of this before. This is I think my second time playing on this map, and I deleted the first one because it was the kind of case where 3 people on the enemy team surrendered within a few seconds. And it wouldn't be that fun to play. Anyway, Sweden. So overall, in Sweden, I sort of like it. It's got a fair good amount of tanks. It's got some pretty good artillery guns to its name, and it's got a few other sort of quirky things that make it a sort of specialist nation. But when you specialize, it's quite fun. So in this game, I was planning to play more of a support role because I've been quite active in a lot of games, and at this time, I was just trying to take it because in my opinion, I've used Sweden as a very support role. So what I'm doing is getting these infantry out to key points across the map, choke points, and in the middle of enemy positions, put them in the towns, and then it'll be irksome for them to be removed, and if they're not removed, they can provide a little bit of insight about what's where enemy positions are. And overall, I was just planning to take it back, take it easy, fire some artillery rounds at them, and maybe call in a few airplanes, something like that. That's what I was thinking. So as you can see, the infantry are taking up positions in the various towns across the map. These are the just Jagra. Yep, as you can see, my allies got a lot of US Marines up in those hues. They're sort of circling around the back of the map. And I'm setting my command tank up on this sort of hilltop. I think it's a 9-point section, so I was putting quite a high priority on it. And so once I've done that, as you can see, Sweden has a huge variety of tanks to their name. I think there's like a 35 up to a 71 for like main battle tanks to fast scout tanks. Also, Sweden has a wide variety of recon units to their name, which is very helpful. They've got recon helicopters. They've got 2 types of recon vehicles, which, as far as I can tell, can't tell what the difference is, because like the Keeper recon unit is like faster and more well armored than the more expensive one. I'm not sure why, but that's what I found to be the case. I'm not sure if there's a reason for this, but yeah, Sweden basically has a huge variety of recon units, a huge variety of tanks, and a pretty good air force. As far as I can tell, they have 2 air superiority fighters and a couple of and like I think a smoke dropper, if you know what I mean, like a cheap 25-point unit that can just deploy smoke where you want it. I guess that's a bit limited as an air force when you think about it, because you sort of want them to have a ground attack plane, because that's one of the whole points of an air force. You use the air superiority fighters to gain air superiority, and then you use this to rain down fire on the enemy. Also, another disadvantage of Sweden that I'm not particularly happy with, and I'm sure you'll know it from my Norway video, is that if I remember correctly, Sweden does not have access to any dedicated anti-aircraft systems, just a couple of infantry with anti-aircraft missiles. Now, this isn't a bigger problem for Sweden as it is for Norway, because for a start, I prefer Sweden's air power. I think Sweden's got a better air force, which sort of makes up for it. But then again, it doesn't really, because an air force is only so good. But when the enemy starts calling in planes and anti-aircraft systems simultaneously, you start getting screwed. I think I call it the Ishak ME262 effect. But this isn't a big problem, because Sweden has lots of other good areas that they're strong at. And if you're playing as a team, you could call in your allies to set up a good few missiles. For example, here I'm sheltering behind the US Marines IHawk system, so I call in my tanks, I call in my artillery, he protects it with his anti-aircraft missile systems. So yeah, also Sweden also is fairly limited in artillery. Basically, they've got a good artillery gun, but you can recall in 2 of it, but it is a very good one. It's very accurate, very long range. Then they have some, I think, of various types of flak defense, which I guess is okay. And then they also have something else. Oh yeah, I think a tank destroyer or something. But yeah, so Sweden has an anti-aircraft defense system, not as pretty poor compared to other nations, but better than Norway. They also have good artillery, proper artillery, not just mortars, and a pretty good air force. Also, they have access to helicopters, which is something I'm quite happy with. Even though helicopters at the moment are fairly useless because they're quite expensive and very fragile, and one strafing run from pretty much any jet in the game will knock them out. They have helicopters. They have helicopter recon, they have helicopter gunships. Variety is good. So as you can see, here's the artillery, and basically I've guessed that all these, anti-aircraft units and infantry units are clustered around one thing. So it's a fair assumption that that one thing is the command vehicle. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start shelling that area, hit the command vehicle. So as you can see, I'm trying to focus mainly on this section here. Basically my plan was, we advance on this axis of defense. I assist the USMC guy, the other guy holds his own on the right, and I hold the sort of middle choke point with the units I had at the start. As you can see, the MiGs lasers are sort of coming in, trying to take out my helicopters, but the jets are holding them off. And here comes another helicopter that's sort of because what happened was I sent in tanks to hit their spawn. Oh, there's some artillery on my artillery. So my tanks came in, hit their spawn, they reacted with ATKM units, and now I can bring in helicopters. I would prefer a helicopter that had some proper rocket pods, because all they have is sort of specialist anti-tank stuff, which isn't exactly ideal, but there you go. And there comes, you see, one MiG just strafes the helicopters. In terms of logistics, they're quite restricted. It's the usual combination of keep armoured command vehicles and sorry, I've got a bit of a cough, and a command tank, but you can only call in one or two of them. Logistics, basic trucks, not that impressive, but it's okay, I guess. Let's see, helicopters, infantry. I think Sweden has good infantry. I like them. They can deploy anti-aircraft infantry. They can deploy ATGM infantry. They can deploy several kinds of rifles. I think they also have a dedicated anti-tank unit, but I might be confusing them with Canada. I won't talk more about that until I'm sure. So yeah, so at this moment the match is actually going pretty evenly. Pact have a small advantage, but as you can see, the US Marines flanking forces now heading into their home base. Hopefully you can knock out the CV. Also, we've been getting a brief glimpse of CVs and Goliaths. Yeah. Also, now that I think about it, their anti-aircraft defenses are actually pretty poor, because as you can see, they're 40 points each for an anti-aircraft defense system that doesn't have missiles. That's quite expensive. So as you can see, I'm sending my supply trucks to help out, and there's a coordinated artillery attack from two different sides on the Juliet. Somehow that command vehicle survived. Don't know how, but yeah. How about that? As you can see, my helicopters are sort of backed off because of all the jets flying around. My tanks are still being repaired because they came out quite, some gingerly from that last fight, but a few of them have been repaired. But still, don't want to cross over that hill anytime soon. So let's see. US Marines seem to have not done too well against them. I'm trying to start bringing out the jets, the Saab, something or other. It's really a bit sad to hear about them. They're not making cars, and they are. Now they're Chinese. No, they're not. I mean, there you go. The Saab, I like it. It's a good air superiority fighter. Yeah, so as you can see, I've actually got one of the Volvo Recon Keeps. I've snuck up on them from the right, and I can see into their base, which will help with artillery shots. So I'm just buying more jets. So I think the Saab 105 is the smoke deployer, on the other two are air superiority fighters. So yeah, there's my artillery moving around. I don't know why I did that. It might have been reacting to some counter battery fire, can't be sure though. So yeah. Also, they're quite low on ammo. I think I might have to get them resupplied soon. So yeah. Overall, I think to sum up Sweden, it would be it's another sort of niche unit. They've got good recon, they've got good tanks, they've got good air superiority fighters. So they do fulfill a niche, and that's what like the decks in the beta are all about. Like each nation's supposed to have its own unique niche. You have to work together, and in that sense, Sweden is a fairly competent nation. You know, they've got good. You know, they do things good. They do the other things bad. That's pretty much how you can sum it up. But a little bit of a gap I'll go in here between the Vegans. Unfortunately, there's some Strelas. Not firing though. Don't know why. I don't think we lost any Sabs, but they're coming in for round 2. MiGs have just flown straight over into the arms of the Avengers. Yeah, so more artillery raining down. And now here's a little bit of a worry. A sort of swarm of MIT transport helos. I was given good warning of this, so I knew that they were flying for me. And I thought, okay, where are these guys going? Foxtrot. Look, it's right in the middle. They're shelling all my stuff, so that could, it's a risk. And I've got my anti-aircraft infantry placed here, but that might not be enough. And I noticed that my ally has some infantry that are in their transport, which is just the epitome of stupid. Why have you put them there if they're not meant to be used? But as you can see, the M8s have actually stopped before the hill, so I'm a bit confused as to why this is. So what I'm trying to reorganize after the artillery strike. A MiG's coming in. I think I might be trying to attack something. I've got anti-aircraft systems there, so it should take a battering. My slabs are still being repaired, but I've got one ready. I'm going to try and strafe these Mi-28s. Fortunately, there's a MiG in there. Oh, and it hits the MiG instead. Could it go for the planes? Possibly. As you can see, I'm still trying to prioritize my artillery. I'm fairly sure that it's in there, but I want to get the anti-aircraft systems out of the way. More strafing runs are being made on these helicopters, because obviously I don't have any anti-aircraft systems, so I want my jets to be swatting them down fast before they can start popping down infantry. Another hip bite to the dust, I guess you could say.